Ain't this the truth? Look at this picture right here. So many people say they believe in God, but how many people actually obey God? I've read the entire Bible twice, and it's become crystal clear to me that Jesus is not looking for fans. He's looking for followers. Jesus was never impressed with the size of the crowd. He was more focused on the commitment of the people. A lot of people want to be close enough to Jesus to get all the benefits, but not close enough to where they have to sacrifice anything. In the Bible, Jesus said, "Believe in me" 5 times, but he said, "Follow me" about 20 times. A lot of people say they love Jesus. They post about him. They have a verse or a cross in their bio. They wear the shirts. They know the Christianese language, but that doesn't actually mean they're following Jesus. There's a big difference between knowing about Jesus and knowing Jesus. The truth is, following Jesus is going to cost you. It's going to cost you your comfort, your pride, your sin, but what you gain when you follow Jesus is worth way more than anything you could ever lose in this life. Don't just be a fan of Jesus. Be a follower of Jesus, because fans want the blessings without the obedience. They want the cross on their chain without the cross on their back. They want Jesus to save them from hell, but not lead them out of their sin. The scariest verse in the Bible is when Jesus said, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven." And if y'all think I'm being harsh, I'm just reading you what the Bible says. I'm not making any of this up. I'd rather you hate me on the way to heaven than love me on the way to hell. Jesus died for you in public, so don't live for him in private. The only thing I can take to heaven with me is people. So I'm trying to bring as many of you guys as possible. I'm trying to make heaven crowded, and I'm trying to rob hell. I guess what I'm trying to say is,
first and foremost, shout out to the creator, but obeying God is literally just obeying Lucifer in his lower realm, because if God can't obey itself, then why would I want to obey a being that can't obey itself, even though it can't obey itself? Because what is this being outside of itself? And then when it's being said, this creator said he's looking for followers, I mean, you're basically promoting Luciferianism or just Freemasonic teachings by saying this label is looking for followers. If you're an omnipresent, all-knowing being, why would you look for followers, even though you are following what you're following through the followers of what you are being a follower into, what you already knew you were going to follow outside of the label that you were never following within the spirit? Then focus on the commitment of the people. So if you're committing an action, or if you're committing an act towards this label called Lucifer or Jesus Christ, and you are basically playing in satanic works, and you think as if you're doing a righteous act. A lot of people want to be close to Lucifer to get all the benefits, but not close enough to sacrifice anything. So you're basically admitting that you got to sacrifice something to get the benefits to appease towards Lucifer's lower consciousness called Satan, or as people love to idolize, Jesus Christ. Believe in me and follow me. If you are the believer and you follow yourself, why do you need subconscious, terranean, lower deities with a lower way of knowing themselves? Why would you need them to follow you, even though you don't believe in what you follow, because you don't follow anything? So that will make you a liar and oblivious to your own teachings. Knowing about Jesus, when you know about Jesus, you get to know that the Holy Trinity for your higher self's lower perspective about God and the labeling of satanic occultism that is happening within sorcery behind closed doors of secret societies, you will know about Lucifer by knowing about Jesus. And then when you know about Jesus Christ, you are knowing about your mirroring, that you see transparency in. You understand who you are and what your vessel is being every single day in your nature. And then you are awakening your consciousness by understanding what Jesus Christ can never be, because it's a label placed upon you. Be a follower of Lucifer. If you are following a label, if you are being a follower of labelings, you are following Freemasons, you are following Luciferians, you are following occultic fraternities and sororities, you are going to lose yourself and be placed into damnation spiritually, because you are being obedient to external validation or labelings that can never follow themselves, because they have no idea what they are being till you became opinionated and you became knowing or feeling a certain way about what you were teaching yourself by looking up to a label that never knew what it was being till you came into the picture. If Jesus is leading anyone out of sin, then they will go right back into sin. So yeah, if this being is leading you out of sin, understand, you cannot be saved by Jesus Christ. You can't be saved by God. You can only save yourself by saving yourself again, because when you save yourself, you will still go right back into losing yourself again. So if you're being led out of sin, you're being led out of hell, you're going to get placed right back into your sin again, because your nature will always sin against itself, because it has to be distorted, and what contradictions have to mirror and what we are not able to understand as far as duality. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven or hell, known as heaven. So when people say, Lord, Lord, and then these people feel as if they'll enter the kingdom of hell, known as heaven. For one, if I'm sitting here saying, Lord, Lord, do you recognize who I am? Do you know me, this and that? If I'm speaking, that would make no sense, first of all, because words descend what transcendence will never need to say. On top of that, that is basically me looking into my judgment of all my alignments in a quantum realm that has no mirroring of what I already understand outside of my dimensions, that have no perspective on what I can comprehend, nor think about, nor articulate in the English language. So it'll be an experience that we will have to start feeling once we are being in consciousness, meaning that to enter the kingdom of heaven, you don't have to sit here and say, Lord, Lord, or this and that, because if you are telling a label to forgive you or to remember you, then you are basically telling your subconscious mind to give you the memories that you are holding on to so you can remember who you used to be and what you were being in a lower realm that could never help you get to where you're being outside of what labels should never idolize, when you realize that you can't obey God when God will never obey what it was giving itself into being in rulership for what it had to be obedient in when it came into a nature that we get to play in for the fractal of what God's mind is being towards our subconscious understanding of what life is never being, and the mindset of what God can never comprehend, and the illusion that we think is real. Have a great and divine day, Divine Reflection.